All right, hello everyone. Hope you all had a good month as usual. Today I think I want to start out by going over some things that have been in the news as always. It's kind of where I like to start with a broad overview. So every year the list of the fastest growing states is compiled and it came out for the end of the year, and Florida ended up as the number 2 fastest growing state behind Texas. Been that way for a number of years now. And there's a reason that I want to bring this up. So the more people that move to the state of Florida, the more people that need homes. Problem is, we're not building a whole lot of new homes, right? So this is really good news for sellers, not so good news for buyers, right? Now, if you spent a lot of time with me or any time with me, you've heard me say that one of the reasons I'm so bullish on Florida is because it's geographically constrained. Now, what I mean by that is we can't just build east or west, right? We have oceans on each coast of Florida. So you just can't build to the side like you can in Texas. In the center of the state, we have a lot of Everglades. More and more true the further south that you run. Now, the center of the state should be filled with a lot of land for preservation. It's rural. There's a lot of zoning that is in place that makes it specifically so you can't add a large number of tract homes into the center of the state. Very good thing for the Florida Panther, and politicians listen up. I think that's what we need to do, is loosen the building regulations along the coast in terms of density and make sure that we keep Florida wild through the center of it. So, little side rant, but at any rate, my point is, we due to natural barriers, we can't just keep building. There's a lot of other states that can just keep building. Florida's not one of them. So even if we wanted to add housing in, we just can't do it that quickly. And so that's a big buoy in value, and that's a really good thing for people who hold real estate in the state of Florida. So bring net migration into this whole thing. When we have positive net migration, more people moving than we do leaving. We have geographic constraints on where you can build. You put these things together for me, and that's always been the bull thesis on Florida, right? That's the reason that I think by and large, it's hard for values here to sink. Aside from the fact that, it's pretty nice to live on the ocean, and I think people are always going to want to live towards the coastline with gorgeous weather. So anyways, that's how net migration figures into the whole equation for me. Every time I see Florida at the top of the list, just makes me think more and more, it's another real good tailwind if you're a homeowner in the state of Florida, in terms of, I think you can sleep at night knowing your value is a little bit more sound. 2008 aside, but it was a different animal. Anyways, let's get on to the data here, and we're going to start with single family homes. Okay, so on to the data. Please note the data is going to be from the period of December 1st to December 30th of 2023. So let's start with single family homes in Jupiter. To start off, we tend not to expect great things out of November and December. I've talked repeatedly about seasonality. It kicks in pretty hard here. So median pricing took a bounce north in December, actually, which is pretty interesting. Now, when sales are heavy on the low end, median pricing is going to get dragged down. Last month, we talked about the higher end starting to participate. So if median pricing is up but sales are flat, that'll tell you that the higher end is starting to move. So do we see sales tick up? Number of properties sold rose from 46 to 50. So I'd say you conclude that we're seeing more action on the higher end of pricing. That being said, 50 sales is still pretty close to the bottom of this 5-year chart, right? So let's just say we have a ways to go before we're back in any kind of a real wild market. All right, list to sales. Headed back down again. We're at 5-year lows here, and it just looks like it's heading down, right? So the simplest way to view this is that sellers came to the market too high in price. They didn't get their asking price, and they either had to reduce price or accept an offer well below their listing price. So the further down that this heads, the more room there is being negotiated into deals. So something kind of good for buyers and sellers to know. And again, I keep stressing this. This is also going to depend on the price point that you're looking in. The lower side of the market's still pretty tight versus the higher side when it comes to getting money off list price. So median days to sales rose. Again, we're up to 51 days on market now, and it looks like we're climbing, right? So it's taking longer and longer to sell an active listing. Sellers, you need to build this into your timeline. The longer the home is on the market, the higher carry cost you're going to have. So just factor all this in and know that, you're not going to have a, extremely low number, 10 days on market. We're getting up here close to 2 months, and looks like we could come up towards this 60-day period here. Next month, we'll see where it goes. Price per square foot. I was guessing last month that we stay off the lows. I think the theme of buyers is that they want renovated and move-in ready properties, and those properties are going to carry a higher price per square foot. So I think that's here to stay for the future. So I think it's logical that even if sales slowed, that we may not see the price per square foot dip too much. Total dollar volume moved up in a strong way from November. We added a bit over 30 million in total, right? So really big rebound there. Again, as I pointed out in the beginning, it seems that the higher price brackets are getting some attention, so the total dollar volume is going to show you that. Months of supply. Look at this, we're headed back down. A ray of sunshine here for sellers, not so much for buyers. So supply is down almost 25% in the last 12 months. You can kind of see that highlighted right here in yellow. So until supply comes up, this is going to be a challenging market for buyers, and there's just not much of a way around that. All right, let's switch over to condos and townhomes. All right, so median pricing took a breather after that monster move last month. So here we're above the 5-year highs, right? Kind of blue sky up here. There were 3 sales above the $2 million mark, so certainly doesn't hurt in keeping that number elevated. Now if we click over here, it's interesting because while prices may be up, transactions are sliding down again. And here we are creeping down towards that 5-year low in total sales numbers. So 34 sales in December 2022 was the low. We just had 38 sales on this graph, so not a huge difference there. Of course, a lot of what this is saying, if sales are down and prices are up, is that people are buying the good stuff, and I just can't continue to say that to you enough, and I think it's important if you're bringing a property to market to know that. All right, list to sales continues to slide as well. What's that say? Sellers are having to negotiate. We just went through this. So if you're a seller, be prepared. And of course, pricing correctly from the start is really the best strategy there, in my opinion. Keep your days on market lower and not have to go through. The longer listing time, the higher carry costs, and the larger price reductions buyers are going to feel that they can offer if your property's been sitting on the market for too long. So a little overall perspective though. List to sales is roughly 5% off the price on average being negotiated. So we're not looking at this huge wild figure, but we are down towards a 5-year lows. It means sellers are losing a lot of the leverage in this. So this is to say you can't just ask whatever you want for a property any longer and get it. When you're up towards this or above this 100% line, you can, whatever you were asking, you were getting. So that likely isn't going to happen now, and you'll just waste time on market and letting the listing get stale. So don't do that, right? That's my main theme. Median days on market rising again. Here's the thing with days on market: anyone and everyone can see it. Buyers, agents, anyone interested in the property. Once you get around 90 days on market, the tone of showings changes. Buyer's agents will say to the listing agent, so how far off list is your seller willing to go? Or buyers will just flat out ask you, so the house has been on the market for a long time, why won't it sell? Some buyers may not even want to see the property because they think something's wrong with it when they see this high number of days on market. So, again and again, if you price right from the start, it helps avoid that. And should keep the leverage with the seller in terms of negotiations. So my 2 cents there. Price per square foot, still on the high side, but looks like we're headed down. So we'll see if we take a bounce here. If the higher end is seeing more sales, we should likely see this bounce up. Let's see what next month brings. Total dollar volume, not great. A little dip off that November bounce, right? I think we're too early to see this resolve one way or another, but keep an eye on it and see which way we go. But for perspective, we're pretty far off some of these bigger numbers. And hopefully we stay away from the lower ones, right? Months of supply, again, we're headed north. Months of supply, again, heading north. Buyers, you do a little happy dance there. Supply is up over 22% in the last 12 months, something both buyers and sellers need to be aware of. Buyers will know this already as they're seeing more homes in the market. If this keeps rising, it's really going to be a good thing for buyers and obviously a huge headwind for sellers. So let's see where it goes. So that's it. As always, feel free to call, text, or email me if you want to talk about some real estate in or around Jupiter, whether your timeline is in a week or in a year, because I like to talk about real estate. We'll see you guys next month. Take care.